but we don't know who it was. I know Don and I would see it.
All right.
We can zoom in today.
Should have called the.
Call the meeting to order of
I don't think that's
Tuesday,
a, that's a
February
reason.
Not a
18th.
look, not
That's not a
probably.
reason.
We do a roll call.
Yeah.
So,
Roll call, Kale,
Here.
Sark,
Here.
Eckhoff,
here.
Garcia, Krajewski,
Here.
Rutland.
Here.
No, for the record that Paula texted me that she was sick this morning. She was gonna try to pipe in here, but I'm not sure she's here. Move on. Anybody sign up for public comment? Nobody wanted public comment for the public? Chairman's report, just that, our gala is in full swing here, April 25th. So that's on the calendar and, got friends, invite them to the event. It should be very good. I think they did a walkthrough the other day, maybe.
Where's it gonna be at, Brian?
It's at the Lyle Sheridan in, on Warrenville Road at, April 25th, Friday. So we move on to our minutes. We need approval for the minutes of, Tuesday, January 21st. Any questions, additions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, that motion carries. On to our procurement request, I get a motion for 250517.
So moved.
A recommendation for approval of contract with Turner Vet Services. Any questions or comments on this one? Yes, go on.
So I looked at all the numbers. It's about 55 for the dog spay, 55 for the litter, and 40 for the cat spay and the cat litter. So this is only, the 25,900 is only for 545 animals on average. So is this it for the year, or is this only like 6 months worth? or-
Yeah, so Dr.
I'm sorry.
Turner.
It says March through November. Oh, okay.
Well,
I'm
and
sorry.
Dr. Turner is mostly our surgeon for the mobile vet vehicle where we're doing all those cat surgeries. Every once in a while, he will do a dog, but the majority of what he's doing are cats.
Okay.
That's part of our partnership with Barrel Fixers, where they're out there and their volunteers are doing the trapping, or they're grabbing all those kittens up during the season.
So I guess my question, Laura, is, what's the average per year that we do these?
Oh, well, we've done depending on how the trapping goes, anywhere from 500 to 800 surgeries.
Okay.
We have had a couple other vets pop into because he's originally from Texas. And he's just here temporarily, so he comes in and he does relief work. And so we'll sometimes bring other vets in too to assist. Yeah.
This more
Just
based on prior
curious.
year, right? Number.
Correct. Yeah, we look at what and I think there's a little bit of unpredictability, not only with the trapping, but the volunteers' ability to, like, how many cats are they gonna be able to get that week?
Right.
In prior years, we've gone every week during the season, and then sometimes we'll skip a few weeks, so.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you,
You're
Jerry.
welcome.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carried. One, our grants. Get a motion acceptance appropriation.
So moved.
Page Animal Friends, unrestricted.
Second.
$50,000 grant. Any questions, comments on this one? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, that motion carries. And I motion FIR 0043-25X.
So moved.
Appropriation to Page Animal Friends
Second.
Foundation Coordinator for another $5,000. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And last, if I can get a motion for FIR 0045-25, accept the appropriation for the interest earned at 43
So
cents.
$43.
$43.
43 cents.
$43.
That would be an all-time low.
I'm sure we'll see it. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Move on to the administrative update, Laura.
Yes, so I wanted to give you our 2024 stats are posted on the DuPage County website. We ended 2024 with a 94% live release rate, so that has increased again, which is phenomenal. We did have a decrease in our intake last year, where we tend to hover around that 2,000 to 2,200 animals. Because of construction, we've been intentionally trying to communicate and work with other humane societies in the area, or try to help people find some rehoming strategies on their own. So we admitted just shy of 1,850 animals. All of this is on our website. Something nice that we also added to our stats is we put our animal investigations and field call numbers on there, which is something we haven't done in the past. Laura Winnie, who's our communications or outreach coordinator always helps with this. And I told her next year she should also put her education numbers on there. Because that's something we're really excited for with
Yeah.
the new space, is our ability to do more outreach and education with the public. So I'll leave this to pass around, but it is all on our website if you'd like. I did want to also talk about avian flu. So we have been receiving poultry and some waterfowl into our building. While we are not a wildlife rehab center, we do get domestic ducks and then our domestic chickens in. So Dr. Twardik has put together an intake protocol so that we know what we're looking for when taking in birds. We've even tested some of the ones that have come in just to make sure that they don't have influenza. Staff is also aware of what they need to be looking for in terms of our cats that are coming in. You know, there's been some concern about our feral or outdoor cat population. Maybe they come into contact with a bird that might be sick. So our staff knows what to look for there. And then the other wonderful thing about our building is we finally have isolation spaces. So we've already started using some of those isolation spaces, but nothing has tested positive so far. Surprisingly, we haven't received that many inquiries from the public about the flu. We're going to be doing an increase in social media posts, make sure we're including it again. We included something in our newsletter previously, but we'll do that again coming up in our March newsletter. Yes.
So if it tested positive, you could not bring it into the building, would you, or would you just keep it in isolation?
So that's the tricky part, is they're coming into the building and then we have to swab them and send the test out. So it's not like
Okay.
an immediate test that happens in our
Okay.
building.
Okay.
So if we are receiving birds in, they should be wearing gloves, they should be wearing masks. We have a separate space that they'll be in, especially if they're exhibiting any signs of being sick. So the
Yes.
ducks, for example, that we got in, were not in great shape. But allegedly they had been living in a car with a unhoused woman for quite some time. So we really weren't too concerned that their ailments had anything to do with flu as much as it was care. But as a precaution, we went ahead and tested them anyway. Should they have come back positive, then they would have been immunized. Yeah.
Oh, shoot. So this goes back a ways, and I think it kind of stopped with COVID. You guys had a pretty robust volunteer training program going over there. And is there a plan to ramp that back up now that your space is more accommodating and?
There is, we have a temporary occupancy permit in the addition that we moved into. So we're still not quite ready to expand the number of people coming into the building. My anticipation is that we should have substantial completion of the renovated side by the end of this month. But then we still have a good solid month, I think, of other things that are happening. Even our staff has been trying to figure out, they'll put something in one place and like, oh, that's not really quite working out well. And so as we're kind of working out the kinks with operations, we will then start retraining
Wasn't
our
asking
staff.
about like next week or
Okay.
anything. I just didn't
My
know if it
hope
was
would-
still on the table.
Oh, it definitely
Because that
is.
was such a great program.
No, I appreciate that. And we hope to get all the new, because our dog coordinator, for example, has been working on updating our dog handling training. And a lot of that will also include some of the risk management things that we want to think about when volunteers are working with animals. So our hope is that we could have that going by summer. We'll be looking at maybe a June 7th tentative date for a grand opening to the public for the building. So if you want to mark your calendars for June 7th, that should be a Saturday.
Are you going to expand? Are you good on volunteers right now? And are you looking to expand or?
Yeah, we have a couple openings posted on the website now. I know we're, so for example, our cat condos in the adoption room, we're learning take longer to clean than our old ones did. And so we've gotten some feedback from our existing volunteers that, oh, it'd be nice to have a partner during my cleaning shift. So we've opened up a couple of those spots. We've opened up some small mammal socialization and cleaning spots because now we actually have a room for them to be in instead of just the hallway. And then we're also looking at adding a front desk volunteer, so somebody that can help with greeting, especially on the Saturdays when we're busy with adoption hours. So definitely, if you've got people interested,
I'm trying to get my son out out.
Oh,
Yeah.
so we'll be posting those on the website as they become available.
It's
Definitely.
gonna be weird not walking down the hallway without those little creatures.
I know.
Right.
Yeah, the new spaces are definitely very nice, very nice. Did anybody else have questions about avian flu before I move on to the next thing? Well, speaking of volunteers, that's a great transition. We are planning our volunteer appreciation event for Saturday, April 19th. We're doing an open house style this year. We have a theme, there's no place like home. We always try to do a fun theme with the
Before
group.
Easter.
I think it is, yeah. So volunteers can come and we want to make sure they're some of the first people in the building. They do such important work helping us care for the animals and all the other things. So that will be April 19th. And then, as mentioned before, April 25th, which is a Friday, is the Raise the Roof Gala. We have some sponsorship and in-kind donation packets. If you guys have any contacts, I know DuPage Animal Friends would really appreciate the help securing some auction items or soliciting for sponsorships or table sales. That will be at daffgala.org, or you can also see Christina over there. She's got a stack of posters and flyers. Our animal population continues to hover around 100 animals, which is a comfortable number for us. We're still, like I said, getting used to the flow of operations, then the space, and then this is all going to change again as that other side opens up. So,
What do you anticipate the number to be? You said you would do 2,000 to 2,200 when it was, full prior to the move. What will it be? What do you anticipate to be with the new construction?
we expect that the public's perception of what we do might be that, oh, wow, they've got a ton, they've doubled
Yeah.
their space,
that's what I'm
so
worried
maybe
about.
more animals would be coming in. We might get more inquiries. The reality is we have increased our capacity slightly, but it's more creating appropriate spaces because we were so crammed into that tiny space before.
Right.
So it's hard to know. My hope is always that we're getting enough public education out there, spay neuter resources, so that we don't even have to exist as a shelter and we could just focus on the animal control
Right.
things. But the reality is there's still a lot of need out there.
Yeah.
Well, I think last year we didn't have really the hoarder cases that we did like the year before when you brought in
Not at the
75
scale.
cats,
Yeah.
28 or 30 roosters or
Yeah.
whatever. We had 17 dogs, but we had like 4 of them in 1 year. And then, it's a tremendous amount of animals that come in. And we didn't really get the rabbits.
Some of that stuff is hard to predict,
Yeah.
but I could also understand the public's perception. And we get a lot of surrender requests from outside of our county, people that are getting turned away everywhere else or are nervous about, or don't take rabbits, for example. Not all shelters take rabbits. So,
What about the PDs that are seeing the increased cost in their ones that they use locally versus bringing them out here? Like Elk Grove and.
yeah, I haven't had a lot of communication about police department feedback regarding their budget for animal related calls. I will also share that on March.
Some of the police departments in the area would take them to local rescues, but they've been seeing a huge increase in the fee that's being charged to the tune of like $1,000, I think, in Elk Grove, and
Yeah, although I had a phone call
Dale was
with,
like 800 to
For what?
to drop off a stray animal they pick up.
So
and
for the police to drop it off, it would cost the municipality that much money?
We-
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So Elk Grove, because they have a few blocks in DuPage County, was starting to send all of their pickups down to us down here because it was $1,000 by the
Do
rescue
we
that they were
charge
using.
police?
we do have a fee
But
structure unless
Not
we
in
recoup it.
anything in that magnitude.
No, unless we recoup it from the pet owner, then there's no charge to them.
And
So.
Hinsdale was the same way that Hinsdale Humane was going to $800.
I don't-
You had to go out
yeah.
there to the village council meeting because
Right, I don't know what they landed on
they
though.
were switching over to us, and then some of the board members weren't happy that they were sending the animals here, so they said we were a kill shelter. And so Laura had to go.
I've seen that
All
rumor all
94.
over the place.
Laura had to go to the village council and explain, what we do.
Not,
And
right,
Right.
right.
So police departments are a very important part of, I think, that community outreach part and avoiding animals coming into the shelter. So in about a month in March, we're actually hosting another police department field service workshop,
Mhm.
incentivizing our local police departments to send either their police officers, community service officers to come learn about return in the field, animal cruelty and investigations, wildlife complaints.
Mhm.
We're incentivizing them with a field service kit, so a microchip scanner, like getting them
Nice.
some
Yeah,
supplies.
tools.
Yeah, we hosted this in 2023. It was very popular because of construction. We didn't do it last year, so we're bringing it back again this year. We've
Excellent.
shared that information with mayors and managers, Police Chiefs Association.
Don't you think it's the big one is to get to the Police Chiefs Association?
Mhm.
You know, we had an issue in Westmont where I think it's a mid-level officers that,
Although, you know, what's interesting is I looked at who's been registering and we're getting some Cook County Police Departments that have signed up for it, which I didn't expect. So I have to figure that out.
Like, figured out like, They're not
Well, you know,
ready?
we budgeted a certain amount of field service kits for our DuPage County
gotcha.
Police Department. So I'm gonna be reaching out to Cook County. They hosted their own training in January, I think it was, to see if maybe they have extra field service kits from that training they hosted, if they wanna
they don't have
send
a
them my
shelter.
way.
in Cook,
Yeah,
okay.
So probably.
I'm happy to host other police departments, but I wanna make sure that our
Yeah,
budget is
Paying
going
for
to our,
For the, right,
Right.
got it.
so I'll be reaching out to Cook County to see if they'd like to participate in some way. Great. Any other questions?
If I can circle back on the microchip,
Sure.
can you give me like a dollar amount that we can kind of figure into our, because we're talking about our member initiative.
Yeah, so I have a
So-
budget I can send you
Great.
for a one-day event. And then part of, and it'll be broken down if you want just microchipping or if you want microchipping with vaccines.
Regarding microchip, I got a
Could you
letter
send
from
that
my,
to everybody? Could you send?
Sure.
that to-
Yeah.
Sorry.
I got a letter from my vet about the microchip company went out of business.
Save this life, yes.
So I don't know if that's the one I used, but that is a problem, they said, because it totally went bankrupt. So anybody who had that company's microchip will no longer go anywhere if they're bonded.
So that's gonna be in our March newsletter, and we're
Okay.
also gonna be doing some social media posts regarding how people can look up who their registration company is.
Good, I need to know.
There
that.
is a website, AAHA, free microchip lookup, where you just type your microchip number into the field, you hit search, and it'll tell you where it's registered and what's the last date that it was updated. Or if it's not registered at all, sometimes we run into that as well. So
You don't use that company, do you? The one that went bankrupt?
we do not,
Okay, good. I don't
no,
have to check.
no,
that.
we do not.
If somebody used that company and the dog gets chipped, when you still have a detector to figure
So
it
we're
out?
still gonna see the number, that's correct. The problem is, there would be no company to call and get that registration information, because when you type it into the website, it doesn't tell you what the registration information is. It doesn't say name, address, phone number. It's just gonna say, call Save This Life. And it was last updated December 3rd of 2022,
Save This
for
Life.
example.
Where are they located out of, do you know?
I do not know that.
There's no way to get a download of their list.
Not that I'm aware of. We don't have, it's not a vendor that we've ever used, so we don't have a relationship with them. I know there's a lot of people that are, I always try to find the good in something, and if anything, it's making people think like yourself,
Yeah.
wow,
Check.
where is my chip registered? When's the last time I looked it up?
That might be
So,
something to turn over to the state attorney's office to see if they can call the bankruptcy trustee.
oh,
Good
Yeah.
idea. That would really help the people at DuPage, because when you get that notice, you're like, what? What am I supposed to do
Yeah,
now?
too late.
well, and Save This Life was not at least in terms of what we see, a popular registration company. I'm trying to remember, Christina, was that kind of a breeder chip company, Save This
Yeah.
Life, or yeah, it's not one we normally saw. We tend to see Avid, 24 Pet Watch, yeah, Pet Link.
Was it a local bankruptcy around here?
No, I know they weren't Illinois.
That's still
Yeah, but that's a great point, Member Cahill. It's
Yeah.
a good reminder
Down here.
to check your chip.
Oh, she's sorry.
I'm writing it
I
down.
was
I
used to.
I got it on my list.
corner.
It's on USA Today 6 days ago. It's national news.
Yeah.
Wow.
If I could circle back to the
Sure.
bird flu. So just some concerns that, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That, I just saw the news, I think yesterday, that they found a dead bald eagle in the Cook County Forest Preserve. And they had the tests out, and the tests have not come back. They think it's bird flu that killed it. And then they found all those birds along Lake Michigan, and along the shoreline a couple of weeks ago. And, they're saying that it could transfer to the cat population. So I guess my concern is that we are bringing in cats who may be exposed to bird feces or whatever, and may have contracted the bird flu. And I know this is convoluted, and bring it into our shelter because we put the feral cats that we get in with the regular population. Is that a concern?
So, to break it down into a couple different
Yeah.
types of ways we interact with outdoor cat populations. So for example, our partnership with Feral Fixers, where we're doing all those surgeries, we actually do those at the Feral Fixers location. So we take our mobile vehicle, we park in her parking lot, and everything is contained in that space. That's the other reason why we enjoy using the vehicle, because it's easy for us to isolate that from the rest of the animal population. We sanitize it and then bring it back. For cats that might be coming in from the general public through our front doors, we just opened up our separate intake entrance. So my hope is that we're starting to isolate the path of those animals coming in. And we do try to already separate ferals from, we're not usually putting them together with the other cat population. They're not interacting in any type of way. And if we do see, and feral cats also will not let you handle them. So that's another thing too. So it's not like we've got caretakers going in there and petting them or,
Yeah.
if we see a cat with showing any symptoms, for cats, we'd be looking for, some of them are similar to other diseases we see with severe upper respiratory and or neurological symptoms. Then, we're isolating them right away, staff's wearing full PPE.
What would those look like?
So neurological symptoms might be like, something weird happens with the eyes, they lean, head tilts, seizure activity, stuff like that. Upper respiratory is gunky eyes and nose and discharge, sneezing, yeah.
So the ferals that you are bringing in, and you stay and neuter, and then what?
So we're encouraging people to work through feral fixers if they've got a feral cat population that they're hoping to get fixed. If somebody is not able to work with feral fixers and they want us to assist with that, then we schedule them for a surgery day where they're then taking that cat immediately back, letting it recover in a garage, and then letting it loose after it's finished its recovery
That was kind
period.
of my curiosity.
Periodically, we get those in between cats. For example, when we're doing hoarding situations, severely under socialized cats that they can't live totally outside on their own, but they're not super friendly. Then we've got two options. We're either making a humane euthanasia decision because it's just a tough placement, or we're working with feral fixers to see if they can find us more working cat placement where they have more daily support in terms of like a shelter and food and water and care, rather than just letting them kind of fend for themselves.
Two things. One is the Giving DuPage.
Yeah, so Giving DuPage Days is May 1st. They just opened up registration on Monday, so I know DuPage Animal Friends is participating again. One of the differences this year, though, is it is truly a one-day event. For those of you that remember Giving DuPage Days Giving DuPage started off as a 5K, it was like a walk run, then COVID happened and it was
Stairwell and astronauts.
it was a 7-day giving event, and then they took it down to 5 days. When I think we went down to 3 days.
3 last year.
Now we are truly down to 1
3 except
day.
you could start.
So, that'll be
Is there a
interesting to
reason
see.
that we went to 1 day? It seems like they'll be cutting it down. It's just less money that's really.
Yeah.
I'll check into it.
And didn't we hire like a full-time person
We do
somewhere?
have a full-time person.
We hired a full-time person to do one
What do
day?
you want it, Brad? 5 days?
Well, last year was 3 days, but you could start early, which
So
didn't
I
make
was
any, which
He
didn't make
says
any
he wants
sense.
it 5 days.
But I mean, it's a big fundraiser for a lot of the
It
different
is,
charities.
yeah, it is.
And they keep raising less money each year because they keep going less days.
Well, I think it's tricky because I was on the call where they launched it last week and it was always meant to be a 1-day event.
Right.
But because Giving DuPage Days launched it during COVID and there was a lot of unknowns with transitioning from the 5K to this online giving event, they went with a 7-day event. And then they've narrowed it down and on the call last week, Taylor, who is a new Giving DuPage Days person, mentioned that it's really successful in other parts of the country with this single day because people feel this sense of urgency. I think from my opinion, what's gonna be tricky is that's not what our community's used to. So it's almost like retraining them.
What does that
this is
person
the
do
new-
besides, we got a 1-day event? What did we hire somebody, what do they do besides this?
The Giving DuPage is a big one, and then they work with the nonprofits out there for volunteering as well.
Volunteering for,
The,
oh, they help find volunteers
Their
for,
portal.
for other, they just go out all year and find volunteers to help charities.
yeah, but I can find out that 1 day versus 3 or 5 or 7.
Cause it seems like we're raising, I think last year their goal was $250,000 and they raised less than that. The year before it seems like every year we're raising less overall. Cause I think 3 years ago, it was like over $500,000. But that's something we could get out to our volunteers.
Yeah.
Sheila was asking about volunteers, if volunteers wanna do fundraising, so not a lot, I guess we have a few volunteers for the shelter and also Animal Friends that set up their own little fundraising page and send stuff out to their friends. And the more people we get to sign up as fundraisers, I guess the more that they'll get for the shelter.
Yeah.
And the last thing I had was, you mentioned the training for like dog behavior. And I know years ago when we first started this committee up, that was one of the things, I think we sent Christina and her whole team of caretakers out to some of the places, I think it was Cleveland, you went to Wisconsin, but to where some of the places that were great in how to train the behaviorals.
Dogs playing for
Dogs.
life and.
Are we
yeah.
getting our staff, because I know we have a lot newer caretakers coming in, are we scheduling them to go out to any of that training?
You know, I walk past the enrichment boards and I see which dogs are paired up, so even though Christina's no longer in that position, Danielle went through a lot of training and is familiar.
So
with
is she
dogs
just training
playing
her
for life.
staff versus us sending them to training?
Yes,
Is that
yes.
is that the
And
thing? So
one
she
of-
learned that she's training instead of sending them to. Okay.
Right, yeah. And with the new community room, with that big gym open space, we have talked about what is the possibility of offering more formalized dog training classes for the community or bringing in a partner, for example, like a Sunny
Well,
Beginning.
now that we're 94%, maybe we should be hosting it and have people come out here.
Yeah,
We can
doing
teach them what to do.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? Objection, we are adjourned.
Following about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, not
Oh.
anything human.
Send 'em to me.